again.
Beautiful. Welcome back to She's Beyond Elevated. This episode today is entitled Code Switching is Not a Career Strategy. Now, this one hit home for me, and I want to start the conversation with a bit of honesty. Many of us didn't learn how to succeed, we learned how to adapt. Adapt our tone, adapt our language, adapt our personality, our presence, adapt. I used to often call myself a chameleon. What does that mean? Most of you know what chameleons do. Chameleons blend in wherever they are. And I used to pride myself on that. I learned how to adapt to every space that I was put into. And it wasn't because I lacked capability. It didn't have anything to do with what I was capable of doing. It was because I was trying to survive in spaces that weren't built with me in mind. They never, these weren't spaces that were cultivated for me to be in. So I didn't fit in naturally. I adapted to the space. Now, let me just be really, really clear with you. Code switching is not inherently wrong. I don't want anyone to think that code switching is an automatic no. But what I see code switching as a skill set more than anything. It's an awareness definitely of the environments that you're in. And I would probably even go to say it's emotional intelligence because you knowing how to navigate in certain spaces and certain genres with different people, it truly does take skill, right? But the problem that I have is when it becomes your default identity, right? Default, meaning that is what you go back to. When you don't just adjust to the environment you're in, you as a person, as a whole, as your own personal entity disappears. That is where I have the problem with code switching. And over time, you don't even know which version of you is actually real. You have blended in so much until your DNA is shifting into that. And I'm guilty of that. I'm so guilty of that. In a corporate space, I completely disappeared and started to adapt the person into the person that I felt they needed me to be, shunning and quieting my personality and who I was. So, how does code switching usually show up? Code switching shows up in the small ways that don't really feel small at the time. So you rehearse how you're going to speak before the meeting. Okay? So it's not your natural essence. And I don't want that to be confused with gathering your facts and figure. I don't want it to be confused with that. I'm speaking about how your tone, how you're actually going to speak before you even get in the meeting, right? You change your tone so that you don't come off as too strong or aggressive. Right? You over explain to avoid being misunderstood. You even edit your thoughts before they leave your mouth. And again, it's a fine line between a negative attribute and it being a skill set. Right? But the exhausting part about the entire thing is doing it all day long. Not because you want to, but because somewhere along the way, we've been taught or we learned that it was necessary, that we could not show up as who we are. Now, there is a cost. There's the cost of constant adaptation. Now, let's talk about the cost because code switching doesn't just change how you sound, it drains your energy, it fragments your identity. You you don't even remember who you were outside of the switch. It makes you question your natural instincts, things that come intuitively. It makes you question those. And eventually what happens is you start performing instead of showing up. Now, beautiful, stay with me because when we come back, we're going to talk about why adapting alone will not elevate you in the roles that you occupy and what actually will. Stay right there. Before we get into today's episode, let me share something with you that I use personally in my business. Today's episode is sponsored by Go High Level. And yes, I am a proud affiliate because I don't recommend anything that I don't use myself. If you're a coach, consultant, service-based entrepreneur who's tired of juggling 5, 6, 7 different platforms to try to efficiently run your business, then Go High Level is for you. Go High Level helps you centralize your systems, CRMs, emails, text messaging, calls, calendars, webinars, even automation, all in one place. For me, time freedom is non-negotiable. Legacy doesn't require burnout. And Go High Level helps me build a business that works with my life and not against it. If you want to explore it for yourself, you can learn more by using the affiliate link in the show notes. Now let's get back to the yellow. Now let's talk about why code switching is not an actual strategy. Here's the truth. Code switching might help you navigate a room, but it will not position you as the leader in that room. Right? So, because leadership requires consistency of identity. If people only see a filtered version of you, a watered down version of you, they never truly understand the value you bring in said spaces. And if they never understand your value, they don't fully compensate you for it. Again, if you cannot articulate your value by being your authentic self, you will never be compensated for your authentic self. Adaptation comes in many shapes and sizes. Now, this is where this conversation really gets personal because there is a difference between adapting your communication, the way you talk, and erasing your authenticity. One is strategic, and one is survival. Being in survival mode was never meant to be permanent. That is the reason why you cannot adapt until your authentic self is erased, because survival mode was never meant to be a permanent fixture. Hold that thought, beautiful, because What we're about to talk about might shift how you show up in your next meeting, next conversation, your next opportunity, negotiation, however. We'll be right back. Beautiful. Before you go, I want to invite you to take the Wealth Asset Archetype quiz because here's the truth. You don't need more information. You need clarity on what you already carry. The quiz will help you identify the exact strengths, skills, and patterns you already have and how to translate those into income, influence, and real wealth. No guessing, no overthinking, just alignment. You can find the link in the show notes. Take the quiz and start building from who you already are, where expertise becomes wealth. Now, I want to offer you a different perspective. Authenticity is not a liability, authenticity is leverage. Right? When you show up consistently in your voice, your thought process, your perspective, your upbringing, your moral compass, your morality, fortitude, or however, when you show up consistently, people begin to understand your value faster because they see your value. The one thing that they see that they put an immense value on is your sauce, what you do differently, how your mind processes the same information someone else had differently. That's what's monetizable about who you are. It's your secret sauce. Trust builds faster when people know your authentic self. Authority becomes clearer. And most importantly, out of all of these, you stop wasting your energy trying to be somewhere, someone, or something that you are not. You stop wasting energy trying to understand or trying to be understood in a language that's unfamiliar to you. That's what happens. Now, I want you to practice this shift for me. What does this look like in real life? Right? It looks like pausing before you edit yourself. So instead of letting your thoughts just flow, you pause and think about every single thing that you say before you say it. Letting your natural tone exist without overcorrecting it. Right? Saying what you mean without layering it to unnecessarily explain why you mean that. And just it, trusting that clarity, being clear, is more powerful than it being perfect. When you apply these rules in your life on a constant basis, you will begin to reclaim who you are within every room you enter. Now, I want to leave you with this question. Where are you adapting so much that you've lost access to your natural voice? Right? And what would it feel like to show up just 10%, just a fraction more as yourself this week? Not all at once. Don't bust in there and give them all of you. Don't do that. But just 10%. Right? Just enough to begin remembering who you are. What would that feel like to you? Hmm. Beautiful. You don't have to abandon yourself to succeed. We've been taught to show up and give them the version of us that they expect. Let me tell you what that's done for us. That has kept us stalled, that has kept us quieted, that has kept us under leveraged, and it has also kept us undercompensated. So we're not winning, changing who we are to be in a certain space. You don't have to perform to be respected, and you don't have to translate your brilliance for it to be valid. You don't. Well, if this episode resonated, share this with a woman who's navigating rooms that require more from her than they will ever give her back. So until next time, remember, you weren't born to blend in. No, you were born to break ceilings, break out of boxes, and break generational curses. Stay bold, stay brilliant, stay beyond elevated, where expertise becomes wealth. Until next time. Right. Well, beautiful, thank you for tuning in to She's Beyond Elevated with Dr. Kimberly Dunlap. If this episode spoke to your soul, share it with another woman ready to rise. Remember, elevation isn't a destination, it's a decision. Keep shining, keep walking in purpose, and I'll see you in the next episode.